Ka tīmata aho tēnei rā, me he karakia. Takari mai ta ata, ura ta ata, kake ta ata, hura mai ta ao o te tāngata, ke ana rerenga, ki tona kawa, tēnei ta ao, he ao mārama. E rongo whakairia, hui e, tāeki e.
Hello, this is Renee Liang. I am going to be your MC tonight for the awards ceremony. Welcome to the National Flash Fiction Day 2022 Awards Night. Now, it is my delicious task to welcome you to what is now the 10th celebration of National Flash Fiction Day Aotearoa, New Zealand. We started in 2012, and tonight, ahead of the live awards night, we have lots and lots of amazing content for you. So we have some musical guests, we have recordings from the Language of Aotearoa series with content celebrating the many languages of Aotearoa, New Zealand, special guest readers, new books, creative insights on the flash fiction form, and some special features from some of our city centres that celebrate National Flash Fiction Day. So this is a very warm welcome from me, warm welcome from my herbs that I've used to decorate my space. You'll probably see more of them later, and I'll see you later. Bye.
Hello, Tina Shaw here, coming in from sunny Taupo. Congratulations to National Flash Fiction Day. I'm amazed and delighted that it was 10 years ago that Graham and I were judging the Flash stories, and 2012, I can't believe where the time's gone. And you know, in that time, I've seen flash fiction in Aotearoa develop to such an extent we've really grown into the form, become so confident. It's been wonderful. And of course, enormously helped along by the force of nature, that is Michelle Alvey. So have a great time tonight, everybody. And yeah, congratulations again.
Parihaka is first, to feel the fingers of dawn. The old pa keeps watch over the silent hour as it snakes through the mud and mangroves exposed by the tide. Seagulls wheel above the resting boats, crying harshly to the hollow air. A golden cupola, balancing a blue ball, gathers the rays of the rising sun and reflects them back on the waking town.
Hot pot recipe for the newlywed. Start a hot pot soup base on your wedding day. When doubts slide in, add something uplifting, maybe thyme. Peppercorn also, heaps and must be ground. When melancholy strikes, add angelica, the happy herb. Don't forget chilies, deep fried. When quarrels subside, add Chinese spices, the 5 delights, mashed garlic and jalapeno dried. When tempers flare, add cooling marjoram and sweet paprika. When tears clear, savored soup, as perpetual as salt and pepper, like yin and yang. 火锅汤底配料，新婚夫妇专供。趁着婚礼，熬上一锅灼热的汤底。怀疑偷偷降临，加些令人兴奋的佐料，如百里香。胡椒粉是必须的，多多的，磨碎的那种。忧郁突然来袭，添加当归，快乐的药草，还有煎过的辣椒。蒸炒间隙，加入喜悦芬芳的中国五香。蒜末，还有晒干的墨西哥胡椒。发脾气了，有清凉的马玉兰和甜椒粉。擦清眼泪，细细的品汤，如阴阳，如永恒的盐和胡椒。
Waterborne, susurrations, gulps, hoots. Slow mist coils and settles. The creature waits, motionless, taut. Bulbous eyes survey a baroque maze of gullies and tunnels, vast colour spectra, leading down the throats of countless fleshy flowers. Nearby, kin emit rumbles, deforming puddle surfaces into juddering patterns. Match-seeking, the rumblers raise and ripple dorsal spines. Not mate hunting, the creature slides into black water. Needle teeth impale a giant copepod, nip off swimmerettes and deposit it, paralysed, beside the precious cargo harboured here. Cradled plumply in mucus webs, gills pulsing, luminescing far beyond UV realms. Baby dreams.
Away, away, away. Mournful sounds of rusting iron, twisting, rotting timbers loosening, loudly clapping the applause of 1,000 weathered hands. Te ringa parawa, winds rise, whipping, whirling, whistling sad songs through the cracks and hollows and gaping holes where brass doorknobs once turned. Rain, relentless at sluicing of silken web down sightless windows, no longer pain-filled with reflection that once softened beautiful, the deeply edged, time-worn face of my kuya. Away, away, away! Kuya, proud kaitiaki of this place, who once stood defiantly outside these windows and heeled over slippers, too old to do anything other than watch helplessly those townies who came with their sugar bags, smashed into the oyster beds, wrenching away the promise of winter's kai, leaving nothing, not even a token sliver of pearl for a siren's song. Away!
Why flash? Well, in just a few words. It takes risks, pushes boundaries, creates worlds, tells stories and rewards readers over and over again.
Because I like words and flash fiction is the most fun way to play with them.
Flash is a moment, an energy, a feeling, a scramble of words caught on the page.
Why flash? Because I can get away with different things than I can in poetry.
The character and storyline here are fictional, but I chose as a setting a familiar place where I have sometimes walked in early morning. Last Ride by Janet Pates. He woke at daybreak, went out, saddled his horse and rode away, leaving his parents asleep. He rode with a loose rein, for he and the mare knew and trusted each other. Along the track by the creek, waking birds twittered in the tea tree, and 2 ducks slid into hiding among the rushes. Obligingly, he looked the other way. Leaving the track, they climbed up through the pine plantation. He'd helped plant these trees. One day, his old man had said, "These'll build you a house." He, being a boy, had grinned and said, "How about a hut?" Above the trees he reined in and looked out over empty paddocks. The stock had all gone last week. He lit the cigarette he'd filched from his mother's pack and asked himself what he was feeling. The answer was, mostly, nothing. He was over raging at his father's stupidity, the bank's short-sightedness. Now he wanted to take all this, the pink-tinted sky, the creek, the birds, the mingled smell of horse and tobacco, to package them up and keep them with him forever and ever. He would have stayed longer, but he felt the horse growing restless, so he wheeled her with his knees and they took the long way back. At the last paddock, he leaned forward and spoke. Knowingly, she flicked her ears. He nudged her with his heels, she broke into a gallop, and he let the wind pull his lips back into a grin. At the house, he slid to the ground, unsaddled her, then laid his forehead against her warm, smooth neck. For he loved her as he'd loved no woman thus far. He wondered where they would be in a month's time. One thing for sure, they would not be together. Why flash? Because a word count makes every word count.
Kia ora, I'm Rose Collins and I'm from Te Whakaropō, Littleton Harbour in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and this is called The Squid and the Whale Send Alan a Piece of Ambergris. Here sea slaps at gravel and gravel scuffs back. Wet things emerge. Bladder kelp, polystyrene, once a nonagenarian eel. Today there's a creamy quince-shaped moon rock smattered with sand. Alan runs to the spot, kneels like a Bejawi camel, lifts it, sniffs. Grace is roaring, "It's dog shit, chuck it back." He pockets his find. Later, he'll make a call, a dealer will come to scrape and scorch the lump, filling the house with the thick sodden scent of the sea. Alan will take the cash and buy boots Tyres for the Caldina, armfuls of pale pink roses for Grace.
"2 milligrams, and all is silence. After a lifetime of swallowing words, her esophagus is lined with arguments that blister the walls. Things unsaid stick in her craw, so that a doctor must push down a tube and lens to see what it is that obstructs her gullet. The camera reveals a coral channel eroded into corrugations by a habit of ingested clauses, and pearly nodules of secreted nacre, protection against irritants that have been glossed over. In the maw, he says, he sees cells inflamed with rage. When he tells her, the cure, it comes with adverse side effects, she has nothing to say.
Hi, this is Sophia Wilson reading a lockdown micro from Otago. Convergence. The eldest faces the mountain, pulls at the sky, slender, swift, with her fiddle, invites dynamism. The middle one hunches over kitchen bench, inches through curriculum requirements.
What's the difference between imminent and eminent?
I observe looming clouds, hear incoming wuthering, shiver. A storm is imminent. The prince is eminent. A young princess gallops in, arms flapping, yells,
"What am I?"
Don't know. Circus girl riding palomino? White owl?
No, one of those big chicken ostrich things.
An ostrich? Of course. No longer imminent. Rain wallops. Lightning bites. Thunder bangs its fists on windows. The ostrich dives under a blanket.
Winter tree. Draw me a winter tree, the infinite delicate, silhouettes of black rivers and visible fingers make a large winter head full of thought. Draw me a winter tree, with hundreds of muses reaching for the open altar tip, knowing that below, roots make a mirror of this.
Danger! Danger! It was a stormy night. The clouds leaked water down on the treacherous scene. Oscar was soaked to the skin, but he had to protect himself from the dreaded dinosaur. "We have to split up!" Zack yelled through the rain. The dinosaur stalked towards them, jaws ready, waiting to strike. "Boys, did you put the cat in the shower again?"
Girl across the street. One day, I was walking in the park and I saw a girl walking her dog. Her long blonde hair was tied back in a ponytail and the curls reached halfway down her back. She wore black rugby shorts and a light purple jersey, even though it was a cold winter's day. Her blue eyes sparkled as she craned her head up to look at the sky. She pointed at a seagull flying through the air. Her dog barked and jumped up, no doubt trying to catch it. The girl patted him on the head and walked further down the street. She walked so purposefully. Her long stride made her look like she was in a hurry, but she wasn't. I knew this because every so often she would look up and point at the sky. Then her dog would catch up to her and try to see what she could see. She was looking at a cloud. To me, it looked so majestic. The setting sun behind it made it look like a golden puffball. But when I looked back down at the girl, her grin had disappeared, replaced with a slight wobble in her lips. Her eyes betrayed everything. The bright blue color seemed to fade, and with it, her expression changed. Suddenly, she bolted to catch up to her fleeing dog. Soon, she had rounded the corner and had disappeared.
Ha, pi waka waka. Ha, pi waka waka. Ke whia koe inai taku hoa iti. He manu ki he waka rōreka. He whai kōrero pene I he waiata. Te taima katoa. He ha tō kōrero e ho. He ha te tikanga o tine ko weti karawhiti. Kaore ho he mohio. No te mea kua nunumi ke koe. Ki te tahi atu he wahi. Kaore ho he kite I tō whātū kānapa. Kaore ho he rongo I tō pūrako roa. Kua nāro koe anaene. Me ki te nere aho ia koe. Ha pia waka waka. Ke whia koe anaene.
Hello, I'm Anita Arlov from Auckland, Tamaki Makaurau. Why Flash? Flash is a TARDIS for the senses. Step inside and be transported.
Why Flash? Because flash fiction can transport the reader to countless different places, different stories and different lives with just a few carefully crafted words.
Flash fiction is the challenge of showing a world on a page, and as the whakatauki goes, he ahakoa he iti he pounamu. Although it is small, it is precious.
Hello, I'm Anita Arlov. This Flash, he, she, it, they, won the National Flash Fiction Day competition in 2017. It's a love story. Any two people can fall in love. He, she, it, they. He's graven, she's gilt. He was glass bottle fed, she was weaned a china doll. He cuts loose, she's unmoored. He picks her Mexican daisies, she reads him Inez de la Cruz. He's on cloud 9, she's man in the moon. He's finger inlet, bracken, orca, syrup. She's matariki, moss, kauri shell, hula hoop. She sleeps in his spoon, he wakes her toes first. He fries her tomatoes, she peels in the sun. He books Dunedin, she knits him a scarf. He takes on a greyhound, she collects horseshoes. He plants rosemary, she learns pottery. He lets slip a white lie, she grows black moons. He slaps his face, she slaps her mouth. He's power cut, sleet, cacophony, sludge. She's burnt toast, high humidity, rent increase, aerosol. He's more pork cry, she's wild rabbit spore. He flattens a possum, she wouldn't be caught dead. He's a slot screw, she's a Phillips driver. He's wet towels, Velcro, bad breath, blockbuster. She's hairball, silverfish, traffic fine, art house. He's Saturday, she's Friday. He's long lost tribe, she's street barbecue. He's barbed tomcat, she's a treed queen. He pings a nerve, she's a live wire. He's hemochrome, she's bleached bone. He's breast of water, she's landfall. He's tin can, she's can opener. He's focaccia, nail gun, folklore, archipelago. She's manuka honey, neon light, kelp forest, quantum theory. He's wind gust, she's window. He's motu, she's hopscotch. He's dinghy, she's jetty. He's indigo, she's Indian ink. He's vinyl, rope bridge, home-cooked meal, equal pay. She's open fire, green belt, skylight, long weekend. He's paper, scissors, rock, she's tic-tac-toe. He's sober driver, she's wine on special. He hangs it out, she brings it in. He catches the backbeat, she pours on the slant. He's Battle of Britain, she's fly.
Welcome to Alexander Pianos. My name is Adrian. I'm the founder of Alexander Pianos here in Dunedin, where we buy, sell, tune, restore, move pianos all around town. And except for this piano, this is one that I'm not going to sell, but rather have as a hire piano in town. So that this piano I've spent countless, about 300 hours restoring and rebuilding and redesigning some aspects of, to have ready for events that are coming up in town. And I'm very excited to have Tom McGrath come along and do some recordings. So very much looking forward to that. It's sort of been a long time restoring this piano, many hours, and it's finally nice to see have a chance where we can record it and present it to the world. So yeah, enjoy.
Kia ora, my name's Tom McGrath and I'm here at Alexander Pianos, and I'm going to play some music by Paul Schramm, who was a famous pianist who arrived in Wellington to live in 1938 and was declared an enemy alien even though he was Austrian and his wife Dini was Dutch, and was banned from broadcasting out of a fear that he would communicate with the enemy through his piano playing. So he became a taxi driver, and sometimes when he was out driving his taxi, he'd call in on his friends Fanny and Charles MacDonald to play the piano and have a cup of tea. And Fanny MacDonald was a much-loved local pianist and organised a recital for him, and their 16-year-old daughter Monica was an usher at this concert, wearing a beautiful white dress. And he wrote this piece the following Christmas to say thank you to this family's kindness.
Someone once wrote
that a poem should not mean but be. Isn't that the great existential crisis for us all? Being, the difference between essence and nothingness? How to big yourself up? Well, be the bloviating blogger who blogs on dusk till red dawn. Be the 6 billionth sand grain to encroach on beachfront lawn. Be the crazy white fella razzing on the didgeridoo. Be geek orthodox totty in fat pants going the whole hog barbecue. Be a preteen human gene kung fu kangaroo. Be marijuana mujahideen dancing to Arabian drums. Be the only happy clappy one stopping to twiddle your thumbs. Be a coalition of contradictions helping out populations with their financial complications. Be a turntablist spinning full bore in a sweat lodge teepee. Be a blitz chess champion obsessed by slow-moving reality TV. Be the lonesome spoiler shouting from a rooftop rendezvous for secret lovers. Be a pop-eyed phobic loon placing ransom notes between bestseller covers. Be an Uber baby boomer wearing poppety socks that tick-tock with sky blue clocks. Be a Buto mime brewing up rivers of yak butter tea that trickle down the Everest of humanity. Be a soul sister disco diva disciplining disciples with visions of the ecstasy tablets of St. Teresa. Be the line dancer who does a soft shoe shuffle at the CAT scan, leaping from hospice wheelchair. Be there when a bimbo eruption erupts, because Bollywood's come to town offering all of us a part. Be a Portuguese man of war made of salty tears, but still shooting for the moon from desolate deserts of the heart. Do not mean, but be forever. Big yourself up.
An cuma na grá, bhúil mé le far, agus búla leis é a feicáil tá mé óga ríis. Cut I gcuimhne dom cé a bhí mé, agus cé mé fós, agus cé a bhaid mé. Agus cé nach bhfuil éise taithí tar éis dom a bhain as tar scanna. Cut gcuimhne dom a neart banathe teagmála, agus nóí an ripnas an dóchas. Agus a ríis, faoi anis, go charata anis, cut gcuimhne go créidím fós in rá. Go créidím fós go féidir ceann a lórú I dó ceann. Go féidir gach ceann a lórú in dó ceann. Créidím fós a scéal malachta ar fad. Créidím fós.
Kia ora, I'm Nima Singh and I'm going to read a piece I've written for the Languages of Aotearoa series for National Flash Fiction Day. This piece is written in English and Gujarati and it's called Ghar, Home. Ghar kyan che? Ghar nathi. Ghar is nowhere, not a city tucked under hills, not border, birth, janam or wood. Kisama nakide. Home is a pocket. Rumal, biscuit, pink hair tie, a child's purple drawing folded into a parcel. A small girl leaving, searching for home. Home is her father's hand enclosing hers. Quietly chewed meals, sun-struck birthdays, uncrossable waters, nadi. Home is her father's hand in life and in death, face down together on the edge of uncrossable water. Home is in your hands. Kar tarahat mache.
Driving lessons. The used car ads in the Sunday newspaper were thumbed through over Katja's warm honey kasha by my grandfather. He craved the rumble of an engine, the glide of a Lincoln Town car across the smooth avenues, cruising cool like a toucan mango sweet tropical breeze. I am just 16, and he might have taught me by now, guided my foot to the pedal and my hand to the revving keys. But he is no longer trigger and impulse, so here I am in the back seat of your mother's old car learning something other than how to drive. There in that empty parking garage of greasy fast food wrappers, abandoned shopping carts, gasoline, and piss, I remember how you adjusted me like the rear-view mirror with both hands. I let you. You lifted me up with your arms locked around my chest and shook me back and forth. The spare change in the cup holder clattered. My heart and lungs rattled in my ribs like quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4 makes $1, they told me in elementary school. That the teasing from boys only proved your significance. That you should chase them around the playground dizzy until collisions spin in the carousel. The centrifugal force tearing away your skin round and round and round because isn't this love?
Your photography teacher assigned a project on people from another world, and since I'm gay, you asked me to model. I thought the secluded hills might be the perfect place for you to kiss me, but you're hidden behind the camera. I'm posing in silence aside from the rush of the wind against the grass. The clouds are gray wolves chasing across the sky and splitting it in their wake. I wore a skirt so your teacher would know I'm gay and give you full marks for model selection. The cold air whips it up though, and I have to Maryland to keep it from flying too far up my goosebumped thighs. I want you to drape your Indiana jacket around me and heat my bare arms with your calloused hand. I smile, the cold wind drying my mouth. I think about us living in the suburbs, rose thorns safely contained by a white picket fence, the scent of you flipping pancakes for me in the morning. But that dream is of a rigid world I can never fully pass into. The camera flattens me, like the confident drag queens painting over a lifetime of terror, or the brave AIDS victims with foreheads wet from disease. I want to tell you that I'm more than a photography project, that I like to write and think and feel feelings for boys I shouldn't. But that might cause your big smile to falter. And I think I'd rather stay in the gray hills with you and your camera, untransported to my world of worry. Your photo of me will be a glimpse of someone from another world, an alien with a lapse in dimension.
Hi, I'm Notgosh from Christchurch. Why Flash? The satisfaction gained from crafting a compressed narrative from a substrate containing many more words is similar to that found when sculpting a small treasure from a lump of rock. Thank you and goodbye.
Why flash fiction? Because life itself has these shining, bright, condensed moments somewhere between the sublime and the mundane, and it's both a joy and a challenge to try and write in the same manner.
Because I love experimenting with the language of poetry, but it has the pull of story.
Hålla fast. Jossien mejlar mig sin mormors appeltartrecept, den du brukade baka vid speciella tillfällen. Säger att det behövs mjukt socker och ett ägg, klatscht. Och jag undrar hur mjukt sockret i Delft är, hur hårt vi kan hålla fast vid ägget utan att känna kroppens kletighet när livet glider mellan våra fingrar, efterlämnar blott en glatt hinna. Bränner näsan när jag begraver ansiktet i kakans hull, det kaneliga äppelväcken. Det här är inte kakan du bakade, men nästa år kommer den att vara det. Tro mig.
Hi, I'm Tim Saunders, and I'd like to read an excerpt from my story Carved that was shortlisted for the 2021 Commonwealth Short Story Prize. The moon is uncarved bone, raw, untouched, smooth like water. I run it tenderly through numb fingers. On the sand lies a crescent-handled fretsaw, the glint of chisels and files. Dark marks spread like moss creeping across the south side of Stone Angels. Bitter black shadows of clouds as they swamp the horizon. I smell salt in the air. The sea is a single tear on my cheek. I reach for the moon and start to work. I cut, feel my saw bite the moon's thick crust with every grinding swipe. Fine dust mists the stars as the blade orbits the rough stone. I take a file and feel its teeth gnash and grip. Delicately, furiously. Every slash joins night and day, the carver and the carved. I polish the smooth curves with fine sandpaper. They sparkle in the twisted light of the stars. There is dust on my fingers, my clothes, in my hair. I shake my head, comets burst around me. With my file I scrape the moon's last gasp, and then it is gone, carved. I hang the departed moon around my neck with a flax cord, let its dark and empty space sit over my heart. My carving tools, the fretsaw, the chisels and the files, fall into the sand and are buried.
Celebrating 10 years of National Flash Fiction Day in Otatahi, Christchurch.
National Flash Fiction Day, Otatahi 2014 at Te Ara. Listening to James Norcliffe read his Squeegee Mop story, being absolutely terrified about my very first public reading.
Christchurch National Flash Fiction Day has the funkiest programs.
National Flash Fiction Day, Christchurch, 2015, took place in the Twisted Hot pub in Woolston. 1 million people arrived.
Okay, that's a slight exaggeration. And all evening I worried the floor was going to collapse.
So Christchurch Flash is special because we have such a variety of places and spaces and stories. We've been shaped by earthquakes and fires and floods, but most importantly, we have a hugely supportive community of writers who love flash fiction in all its crazy smallness.
Hi, I'm Sandra Arnold. The first flash fiction I ever wrote was a story called Soul Etching. That story was published in Flash Frontier in 2016, and later I had enough flash fictions to put into a collection, and that was published by Retreat West Books in England under the same title as the first story, Soul Etchings.
Kia ora, I'm Jenna Heller, coming to you from the top of the sand dunes in New Brighton during sunrise. I've been thinking about why I think flash fiction has been so popular in Christchurch. And flash fiction is a little bit like watching a sunrise or a sunset. It's really engaging and it takes your breath away for a really short period of time, and it fills you up for the rest of the day. But that doesn't help explain why it's so popular in Christchurch. I think the earthquakes have maybe played a large part in it. Not a lot of huge attention span when you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, and it's such a wonderful thing to sit down and actually get a thought and a feeling, an emotion, an idea down on paper, done and dusted. Maybe, or maybe it's just that we like sunrises. Cheers.
Inanahi, I ka rā whai aki nei te rū whenua. Kaore he o kate te tō toro tūwhera inanahi. I te wā inanahi e tō awhi te muki muki taka ki aho. E puta mai taku mihi he mihi tawhito. I koro ai chia ai ia mātou. I roto ka roi mata kua karo I te whakamarie. I hakaia aho he waka. Hoia atu mātou tēnei waka. I ruko I te noho puka. Ki te takatai o Apopo.
Why flash? Because it's a challenge to write a story in very few words, with enough structure to make sense, but with enough spaces so that the reader can fill in those gaps with their own imagination.
Succinct, scintillating, small, but perfectly formed.
Kia ora, I'm Jenna Heller from Old Totahi Christchurch. Why flash? Flash is a little bit like a sunrise. It's always engaging. You don't know exactly what you're gonna get until you wake up and go and look at it. And if you're the one writing the flash, you sit down, you get an idea on paper. It's just for one fleeting moment, and you've captured it.
Why flash? Because life is short, and so is some of the best fiction.
Toria. Taku wahine was in Te Pātiki, standing, still, kuri at heel, kakariki shirted, tātari. He kati te kōrero early I tēnei ata. Tongues were sharpened, kupu flew wide like toria before ka heihei. My things rammed into piki parapara, he waka huia kore. Marama filters te pō. Cannot noho without the other, like us. Kei te waho, everything looks perfect. Nge kare, ki roto o te whare, tutu te pue who resides. Akin to my tupuna, the unknown ka whakaanga. Taku wahine is no longer in the field. Tōna karu coats my rika. Soon, tōna koiwi will rest.
She could never remember exactly where in the gorse they had buried her bones.
When I first left Dunedin, I literally forgot my head, but it wasn't exactly my fault because it turned out it wasn't even screwed on.
I forgot how it made me itch. The banality of home. I forgot everything except the slow honey of the light.
I left my wings slung over a rose bush in the northern cemetery. Too hot with all those feathers, too heavy upon my shoulders when not unfurled for flight.
My dreams had become murky, but then I sensed the tide at Aramoana, whiki-like, dragging my waiwai backwards to topple into the frothy spume and remember everything.
All of us, the flowers and me, loving the sweet crush as I ploughed through the daffodils, like dancing across the banquet table, laden for the feast.
I wept over an octopus stranded, melting onto gravel, but a tear that fell made it flinch in slow motion, and along its flank swarms of stars unfurled and winked.
The close darkness of June, and the cold hand that brushes across your face. in the early dawn.
There was a way things would suddenly appear, a heat wave to black ice, an ironing board beside the creek in the park waiting for shirts, an old-fashioned woman's bike chained to a rail outside my house which belonged to no neighbours and was still there when I fled in the night.
The way the weather blew in from the southern jaws of the world.
In the time of the icebergs, big black baby buggies, pushed by women in hoodies, denim and F-off boots. Crop circles on Google Earth say NO to Monsanto. Boxy four-wheel drives playing through the wet. Semi-amphibious barges growling up and down, piloted by yummy mummies or tattooed property developers in cargo shorts, their t-shirts emblazoned with Crowded House logos, their capitalist warrior chariots splashing curbs. Buses pull out, wheezing and puffing exhaust, loaded to the gunnels with glaze-eyed tourists. Destination, bliss or damnation. Glossolalia of the Undy 500 clown cars. Smashed glass of the student quarter, glimmery as jewels. Detritus of bonfires blown hither and yon. The shouty-mouthy denizens of bouncy Castle Street, wandering in fellowship of the sofa burns to the great forcing apparatus university, glowing with self-declared enlightenment, and death by chocolate beckons from Cadbury's vast lakes of cocoa butter to Bulgarians who flog heritage buildings for parking, bringing frost, a flotilla of white blocks, winter bloom of blue muffin tops over low-slung jeans, and gales in the face which smack like wet fish, chill finger bones that touch you from far away. In the time of the icebergs, the city at night, one vast monastery under holy hush of snow, and bent beneath their hoods they go, like Capuchin monks praying in cloisters, Nati Cappuccino or Nati Bogan, eye sockets, deep pits and snoods, glaze-eyed jaded ones, monkish, cowling the head for respect or to recapture the rapture, and a hooded phantom runs, breathing out steam, a warrior monk who travels light. Closer you see her face, ethereal as that of a novice nun, beneath her hoodie in the time of the icebergs, in the time of the icebergs.